So today we are going to do a character showcase guide for Qingque. I'll be going over her skill set, Eidolon, traces, relic, Lightcone, and so on. Then we'll take her on a little showcase ride, yeah? Right, so I'm gonna have to, Is this fine? Can you guys still see me? Right, so how does Qingque work? Let us go for her skill set. Her basic attack has two parts, but we'll explain that in a bit. We're gonna explain her talent first. So her talent, she has 3 possible cards that she can draw. Every single time an ally takes a turn, she draws 1 card. Whenever she gets 4 of the same card, Qingque gets a massive attack buff, and she also unlocks her enhanced basic attack, which is called Cherry on Top. This basic attack does double her normal basic attack damage on a single enemy, and it does the same amount on every surrounding enemy adjacent to it. So enemies adjacent to it would mean you only hit 3 at a time, right? So 1 middle and 2 on the sides, yeah? That is her talents and her basic attack. Now we go for her skill. Her skill, whenever she uses her skill, she draws 2 cards and increase the damage dealt of her by a percentage until the end of the current turn. This can stack up 4 times. Your turn will not end after you use the skill, so you can spam this skill up to 4 times per turn. However, if you already have 4 of the same card, you cannot use the skill anymore. For her ultimate, when you use her ultimate, you do damage to all enemy and immediately draw 4 of the same card. So currently, as you can see, I have 2 of the same card and 1 random. If I were to roll, that's a 2-2. Roll again. Fails. Roll again. So that's 3 points, right? One thing to note is that her enhanced basic attack cannot recover skill points. So she is a very RNG character, just as a glance, right? If you're unlucky, you'll take many skill points to get her enhanced basic attack. If you're lucky, you only cost 1 point, right? But her skill set is designed in a way where if you're unlucky, meaning you have to use your E several times, you do get a stacking buff. Even on a bad turn, you'll still dish out some reasonable damage. However, the cost is up to 4 skill points, right? Which is rather bad. I have 835 attack plus 1380, so I have about 2100 attack. If I were to unlock my enhanced basic attack, 3 rolls. I got like 800 more attack, 3 stack of the damage boost. So with 3 stack of the damage boost, as you can see here, we have plus 96% damage bonus. Very fancy, right? This should hit for a decent amount of damage here. So about 8k on all enemies, yeah? On a bad turn, it's gonna take all your skill point and okay. I was trying to explain on a bad turn, but she rolled it in 1 go. So now we have Piranha's attack buff and only 1 stack of the buff, so we have up to 150% damage bonus and very high attack, right? So that hits for 5k on the 2 sides, but I didn't crit on the main side. Let me buff Qingque again and cleanse the debuff. Time to roll. 1. This is not what I was expecting, but sure. Now then, this should crit just fine. 11k on the main crit, right? So some decent damage. What if I get an unlucky turn where I spend all my skill point? 4. Okay, so 4 is the maximum of your damage boost. That will be 28 times 4, yeah? So hits for quite a lot. So I didn't get the roll there. I got a failed roll, which this turn, at least, I still have the damage buff from Piranha and the damage buff from herself. So I still have a very massive amount of damage buff increase. And the enemy is down. And when the enemy is down, you do a lot more damage. So this should still do a decent amount. That was 25k non-crit, which is a decent damage number. Let me boost Qingque. How? How? How am I getting free 4 cards? This should not be happening. Come on. Okay, so that was 4 roll. I'll break the shield there. I don't have Piranha's E buff, right? But I do have Piranha's ultimate buff, which should be fine, right? Nice and comfy, no? I don't think her Eidolon really improved her damage that much, no? So her Eidolon, her first Eidolon increased her ultimate damage by 10%, which doesn't matter too much because the majority of her DPS isn't from her ult. Eidolon 2, whenever a card is drawn, she gets 1 energy. She gets 1 card every time an ally takes a turn and 2 cards every time you use her E. Eidolon 4, every time you use your skill, there's a 24% chance to give herself a buff. That buff allows her to attack twice. So she'll hit twice, the second hit doing 100% of the damage of the first hit. But they can be separated, so if your first hit crit and your second hit doesn't crit, you do less damage, obviously, right? And her E6 allow her to recover 1 skill point after an enhanced basic attack. Right here, her enhanced basic attack cannot recover skill point. However, if you have the Eidolons, she recovers skill points, right? This is kind of weird. I feel like none of her Eidolon really improve her damage. Maybe Eidolon 5 because it gives you +1 basic attack level. I wouldn't count on the double hit. The double hit happens sometime. It's kind of cool. This character is free, and her Eidolon doesn't matter too much. Her second best 4-star Lightcone is a free Lightcone. Her best one is the Battle Pass one. Her best 5-star one is Qingque's Lightcone. With that in mind, isn't that pretty good, damn? Isn't that pretty fucking good damage? The Battle Pass one gives you damage bonus based on your max energy, not your current energy, right? It goes from 0.2 to 0.4, right? For Qingque, she has 140 energy, so she will always receive a 28% damage buff and a 48% damage buff permanently with the Battle Pass Lightcone. For the 5-star, Himiko Lightcone is very situational. It's not really that good in my opinion compared to other Lightcone because you only get the damage bonus when enemy shield is broken. The best 5-star Lightcone has to be Qingque's Lightcone for erudition. So it increases crit damage, increased skill damage, ult damage, and follow-up attack damage, right? Qingque doesn't do damage, so her skill doesn't do damage. Her ultimate does do some damage, and she doesn't have a follow-up attack, right? However, the E4 does count as a follow-up attack. You do get the full bonus here, right? So once again, critical damage, skill damage and ult damage, and follow-up attack damage, right? The best 5-star one for erudition has to be this one. It gives you just so much stats. So for traces, at level 20, the first time you use your skill, it's free. It's once per combat. That's not really that important. Buy time is the important one. Whenever you use your skill, you increase the damage boost by an extra 10%. So right now, my skill gives me 18% damage boost, but because we have this, that's why in combat, you saw that I have 28% instead. And her level 81 is you get 10% speed after doing your enhanced basic attack, which is kind of cool, I guess. It's kind of there. To maximize Qingque damage, in my opinion, you only have to level up her basic attack and her talent. Because her talent gives you the buff, the attack buff, and the enhanced basic attack, and her normal attack is when you're unlucky, right? Your skill doesn't matter too much because every point you level on your skill gives you 1% more damage, right? It goes from 18 to 19 every point you put on your skill. Unlocking this talent basically gives you 10 levels. Unless you want to min-max her damage to the teeth, then you realistically don't have to invest too much on her skill. Only her talent and her basic attack should be fine. Her ult you can keep at level 0 once again, unless you want to min-max her damage a lot. Her ult isn't the majority of her DPS anyways. It's just there for her to get 4 Jade cards when you're unlucky. For Relic, the Relic you want to use would be, ideally, the Quantum set. The Quantum set gives you 10% quantum damage. Whenever you do damage, you ignore 10% enemy defense. If the target has quantum weakness, you ignore another 10%, right? Which is really strong. Pela gives you 30% defense down on the enemy, right? So this is essentially like half of Pela effect, and it's always up. You don't really get defense ignore normally, so this is a really good set. Honestly, this feels kind of unfair that Quantum has this set while like Wind has like, action forward, crit damage. It's kind of cool, I guess. Attack stacking, more skill damage. It's just like defense ignore as a passive. That's ridiculous. That's just way too much. But however, when you're starting out the game and you want to play Qingque, this is all you need. It doesn't give as much damage as the Quantum set, but it's the earliest set you can get, and you get a lot of these pieces for free. It increases speed of the wearer and increase basic attack damage by 10%. Isn't too bad. It's kind of cool. It's the set that gets given to you the most as you play the game. Just by playing some quest lines, some story quests, you get some of those, so it's a good filler for now. And that's for the 4-piece set, right? For the orb, ideally you want to farm world level 6 for this set. Increase the wearer's crit rate by 8% when you have 50% or higher crit rate. Your ultimate damage and follow-up attack increase by 15%, right? This is the most useful 2-piece set for the rope and the orb for a DPS character generally. The follow-up attack damage does affect her E4, but generally not. The ult damage is kind of cool there. Generally, you just just want this for the crit rate because crit rate is really good, yes? Okay, so even though the Qingque that we currently are using has a free-to-play Lightcone and 0 Eidolon activated, she does have max leveled Relic. So her damage number might look very high compared to a lot of people for now. But Relic is free and anyone can get Relic, anyone can farm Relic, so I feel like that's still achievable, yes? So here are the Relic stats. You would want to run crit rate here, attack here, quantum damage, and attack, right? You can drop the quantum attack boots for speed if you wish. Speed and attack, it's interchangeable in my opinion. There's an argument for both sides, yeah? So Qingque doesn't really have a crit rate on her traces, but some other characters do. Generally, you want 60 crit rate, 120 crit damage on your build, unless you have crit on Lightcone or crit on traces, right? But that should be the build you're aiming for. There's no particular reason why you want those numbers, aside from the fact that every relic can only roll so many stats. That's why there is that number 6120 there. In Genshin, it's 7140, but in honkaistarrail, we can roll less stats. That's why 6140 should be realistically the number most people are aiming for. Teamcomp for Qingque, I don't know if people really like Teamcomp building, but like, I have to tell you something. Your damage dealers are replaceable. You bring different damage dealer depending on whichever content you are doing. I feel like the support and the healer or the tank and the healer will be in every team, right? Whereas the DPS, you change based on elements. So Qingque team building, I would put her like this with another buffer and Qingque as the main DPS, or I just run Qingque with another damage dealer instead, you know, like running double damage dealer like so. You know, there's no way you can build a team where you bring Qingque onto every team comp, right? Honestly, I prefer Tingyun with Qingque rather than Bronya with Qingque because Tingyun buff lasts 3 turns, whereas Bronya lasts 1 turn, right? Even though Bronya buff is stronger 100%, Qingque eats a lot of skill points on her own. I prefer characters to be used on Qingque team should be the characters that don't use too much skill points. So Fire MC doesn't really use too much skill point, you only provoke when you need to. A healer doesn't use too much skill point because you only heal when you need to. And a buffer like Tingyun only buff once every 3 turns, so it's not that annoying, right? Or you can also play Arlen because Arlen literally does not consume skill point at all. Arlen's skill use HP instead, but Arlen isn't completely super strong right now. Until I make a guide on it and prove everyone wrong, maybe. Who knows? But I doubt I can make Arlen strong. We'll see. Okay, but yes, that'll be a very quick Qingque guide, yeah? Let's run simulated on auto, just for fun. Why use Qingque instead of Sealy? She's free, and her Lightcone is also free. 1 roll, 2 roll, 2 roll! Ah! 1 roll! No way! Lucky 1 roll. Very pog. 1 roll, 2 roll. Pew! Attack buff. Boom. Okay. 1 roll, 2 roll, 3 roll, 3 roll. Big damage. And snap. Okay. Tingyun in auto battle is pretty bad because Tingyun keeps rebuffing even though her buff doesn't expire. As you can see here, you see the 3 dots on Tingyun? That's 3 buff duration, so that's 3 different hits. On auto battle, Tingyun keeps rebuffing herself.
My turn. Feeling lucky. Yeah.
Stop! Stop!
Freeze and victory.
Okay, roll time. 1 roll. 1 roll.
Come on.
2 roll. Yeah, like this account doesn't have fire main character build, so I'm running something else. I don't really like the current team I'm running. Oh no, that was 4, right? She had to roll like 4 times. 4? Hey, that was worth it. Hey, 4 rolls for that much damage? That's fine. Bad RNG. Why does Qingque do more damage than Himiko? Yes. Smack it. Ah. Smack it again.
Freeze and victory.
1. Oh, okay. Holy fuck, I'm getting lucky. Holy shit. I probably should manual the last fight. Okay, so draw a card, put a buff, put a buff. Should be fine. If she summons that thing, I'll press destruction. Roll, 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 roll. Okay, that's 4, right? That's 4 stacks, right? That should be big fucking damage. Okay, that's 14k non-crit. It's still big fucking damage. 1, 2, 30k crit. 1, 2, 2. Death time. Oh, no death. Destruction. And then heal back up real quick.
Time, what's in your prescription? Tasty.
Nah, I don't need the AoE. The AoE isn't necessary. No! The AoE was necessary. Hold up. My fucking god. No! Destruction. It should be fine. Destruction. Okay, the pillars are gone. Free hit. 25k. What if I die here? I think Qingque dies here. Get back up. No! Wait a second. Huh? No! Wait a second. Okay, that was bad. That was a bad run. That was 2 speed difference. All right, that should be enough for this little Qingque guide showcase, right? I wouldn't say she's an OP character or a weak character. If you have average luck and it costs you on average 2 skill points to do damage, Qingque is a really good character. However, if it takes you 3 or 4 skill points, ooh. Would I recommend building her? I would say yes, I would recommend building her with a very simple reason. You guys know why? There's like 2 quantum DPS in game. One of them is gacha and one of them is free. In this game, once you reach the chaos halls, not the forgotten hall, once you reach the chaos halls, you are going to need every element. You will need every element possible. All right, see you next time, YouTube. Bye-bye.